Maca is an adaptogen, and adaptogens get a little bit of a weird reputation because people don't think there's a lot of validity to them. But when you look at the research, adaptogens are pretty interesting compounds, and the whole world of adaptogens is a pretty wild bucket of research. You see, our bodies have the ability to react to a given stressor, develop a little bit of resiliency to that stressor, and establish a new baseline. It's just like training, right? You work out, you get a little bit stronger, then you work out again, you get stronger, but always comes with a little bit of stress and resistance, right? Well, that's happening inside our body with different stressors and our mood and all kinds of things. So maca is in that category of what is called an adaptogen. Now, it's a root vegetable that's typically grown in like the higher altitude regions of Peru. Now, specifically, maca is known as an adaptogen for the mood. Okay, and the reason is because it contains something that are called macamides. Now, these are specific fatty acids that work upon what is called the endocannabinoid system, which might sound familiar to you. So in other words, what they do is they increase these things called anandamides within the body. Anandamides are normally broken down, but what macamides do is they block the enzyme that would break down anandamide. And I'm getting somewhere with this, okay? So when you block the breakdown of anandamide, you end up with a higher level of anandamide because it's not breaking down. Well, anandamide binds to a CB1 receptor and actually can give you a potential sense of well-being, okay? So that's what a lot of the subjective data shows, is people just generally feel a little bit happier. They feel better sense of well-being because you're acting upon that. So in the regions in which maca is grown, they see a lot of this, and they really use it for mood, right? But in the United States and in other areas, we've started to recognize maca for adaptogenic properties when it comes to sexual function. So there's a study that was published in the journal Andrologia. It was a 12-week double-blind study, so a very legit study. Took a look at men that ranged from the ages of 21 to 56 years old. And what they did is they gave them either 1,500 milligrams of maca, 3,000 milligrams of maca, or a placebo. And they measured them at 4, 8, and 12 weeks. Okay, now they gave them sort of a questionnaire. Now that can be subjective, but it was a subjective questionnaire on their sexual desire, how they felt in terms of libido, things like that. Interestingly enough, at 4 weeks, the placebo group actually noticed an improvement in sexual desire. So it just goes to show how much sexual desire can be influenced by our mood, right? But that's not the point. The maca group had a 24% increase in sexual desire as far as the subjective rating goes at 4 weeks. But then at 8 weeks, it was 40%, and at 12 weeks, it was 42%. So there seems to be sort of a cumulative effect here. What's wild is there's no real evidence that shows that maca is doing something directly with reproductive systems. Like, what is going on? Well, the hypothesis is that there's something called kaempferol, and kaempferol can have a powerful effect on what is called monoamine oxidase. Now, monoamine oxidase is something that can build up and can actually make us not feel too good mood-wise. Okay, so if we can inhibit monoamine oxidase, we could potentially have an elevated mood. Now, what's kind of funny is if you think about this, if you go on vacation, okay, and you're relaxed, you're probably going to note that maybe your libido is a little bit better, right? You're not wrapped up in your day, you're not stressed out. That plays a big role, okay? It's very simple. Like, our brain communicates with our reproductive system, and if we're in a time of stress, it's not exactly when we want to just be going to town, right? So that is where things come to play. So when you look at the whole adaptogenic system and how this works, yeah, it makes a lot of sense that we're kind of restoring mood a little bit, which is in turn having an effect on the reproductive system. Now, the cool thing about this maca from Antler farms is they harvest this maca in the high altitude regions of the Andes. Okay, so they really put a lot of work into this. So you're getting natural sunlight, you're getting real fresh water, and you're getting it harvested at the peak time. Okay, so that way you're not dealing with a bunch of pesticides, you're not dealing with a bunch of air pollution, because when you look at the Andes, you're looking at some of these potential blue zones, like the air quality is amazing. That's really what we want when you're looking at a good quality root vegetable. So there's a lot of knockoff maca brands that are still using legitimate maca, but they're not exactly putting their best foot forward when it comes down to how it's harvested. So I would highly recommend that you do check out Antler Farms maca, but do your research on maca. It might be something that works for you given your specific needs, right? And you can cycle on and off of it. You don't have to take it forever. You can take it for 4, 6, 8 weeks, then come off of it for 10 weeks or so. In fact, some studies have demonstrated that people actually do better when they actually surge it and dose it and back off. So anyhow, do your research, make sure you check out Antler Farms maca, and I'll see you soon.